okay? I do have a question.
Sure.
I was looking over at the,
Is that a question everyone else is going to want to hear the answer to?
I don't know.
Well, we were talking about this when we start early. When people start asking questions, then we have to.
I can ask it again. That's it's a problem.
You didn't ask it yet, so we're good. We're almost there.
All right.
Oh, hi, Pam.
I just tried to join with the link and it said you had another meeting in progress.
That's what it told me too. So I closed out of that and then found this and went, oh, all right. So I don't know. I must have clicked it open earlier before I realized I did.
Oh, right. I just came out, copied the meeting number and went in that way.
Good. Good. So we only have about a minute left, and then I'm sure that we'll be joined by Jeff. I think he'll get on this time with no issues because we set up things different for him.
Oh, while I think of it,
Yep.
could you delete my videos from the WCC YouTube, those old videos?
Yes, I can do that.
Because I only did them
thought that
for the testing.
No, okay. I thought I deleted some, but not those.
No, there's.
Delete.
Hi, Jeff. They were still there
videos.
an hour ago.
Okay. No, I'll
So
just
were
delete
Leo's.
test videos. So that's good. It's cold down here in my basement.
What's the temperatures like?
Here it's above zero finally again.
Oh, that's
13.
something.
It's sun shining, but it's very cold sunshine.
Right.
I think the worst is over.
I don't have my phone. I'm gonna have to run and get my phone.
I think you did a really a great job yesterday on the podcast there, Pam.
Oh, I listened to it today. I said a few times. I thought, oh,
We all do.
you know, sort of well, I don't know, Karen, ODCCA. I've never heard anyone talk so fast and so much. She just kept going. Fantastic. Because I tried writing out what I wanted to say, and then I tried practicing reading it back, and it sounded so stilted and awful. So I thought, oh, I had some notes, but I thought just go with it, you know.
You
You
But
did
I did.
did a
I
great
did
job.
a few times. And then
Yeah.
I got a message from my granddaughter afterwards. I heard every word you said about me.
That's funny.
Because she did watch the whole thing. She said it was very interesting. So
Jeff's sister also watched the entire thing and was very interested to learn things she didn't really know before. So I guess we were informative.
well, there were 190 people at peak.
That's what I wondered if
On
you
that
found
webinar.
out how many people actually were attending yesterday.
It said on the participants tab, it was 190 at peak.
That's terrific.
And I did have a little nose down it to see which ones of mine were there. I think I had about 4 of my lot from over here were on.
That's good. Good morning, Laurie.
Hello, Laurie.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Oh,
Good afternoon.
good morning, everybody. I don't know why I couldn't get into this one.
Did it
It's
say the
weird.
meeting was already started?
No, it was, I
Okay.
think it was an old beta tester Zoom
Okay.
that I
And
had.
there was
so-
an old beta tester Zoom that I took out of the closing credits in the videos of the meetings because we're going to use the same one all the time, and the old one somehow we got switched off of that, and I'm not sure why, but we're good now. And
Yeah, all right.
yeah,
We're good now.
so
Yeah, I will copy and save to my notebook.
since our meeting yesterday, we've had like 5 new signups, right? Memberships.
Yeah,
Isn't that
Really?
awesome? Yeah,
yeah.
Well, that's good.
yeah. And some there, I think Don Alame was one, and I know he was, and then trying to think of who else it was.
I didn't recognize any of the names except for Alamy.
Yeah, well, I loved what he wrote on his bio or his info about himself.
Oh, I haven't been in there yet.
Yeah, that was really cool. And yeah, I was gonna see if I could find who else signed up, but here we go. No, that's old. That's Pam's old one. Today.
Well, there were a few people asking questions, weren't they, while we were talking, and Laurie answering them.
Yes, they were.
That's the only thing about that whole thing yesterday that was disappointing, because there was no discussion, really.
No,
There wasn't any discussion, and it was kind of billed as that.
Part time.
But part of it was the way that you were supposed to ask the questions was through the Q&A button on the bottom, not the regular chat. So anyone who wasn't on Wednesday when we did a dry run of the meeting wouldn't have known that. And so it should have really been stated that if there were questions that they could have put them forth on that. That's where I got the one where they wondered about the walk around video for Wildfowl sculpture.
And
So,
I can understand it, because it, like you said, there was like 200 and some people that signed up.
right.
That'd be kind of hard trying to get 200, if they all had questions, oh my gosh, you'd be there. We'd still be there.
Well, Jeff said that he could have raised his, what Pam and I saw was totally different from what everybody else saw as panelists. We saw each of the other panelists, and
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, and we were supposed to mute ourselves and turn our video off until they called our names. So I didn't think they'd get it all done in an hour. I really didn't. So I was glad that we kept it as close as we did. So
yeah.
I think that it was positive, and I'm glad that I quickly thought about reminding everybody or letting everyone know that there's no time limit. So they could do older entries, and I think that's going to be where we're going to see our entries, because there are going to, just like me, I'm not entering in these championships, not because I don't want to. I'm not doing it for transparency, but when it comes to my other pieces that I've been waiting to enter, those I'm holding out for World. I'll hold out for one more year.
We're all hopeful things will go back to normal.
Yeah, but World says you can't take pictures and compete before the.
Well,
That's a strict rule.
about that.
Yeah, it is, isn't it?
It's kind of restrictive for everybody. And
Yeah.
I think
Rich
World was
say
trying to
something.
shut us down.
No, I think they're just trying to be exclusive. They want to be the first ones to show it. So if you showed it
Yeah.
at the World, then you can go put it in any other contest you want for the next year.
Right.
I've always looked at it that way.
that's how
what
it's
they're-
always been basically done. There was, though,
But it has to
years
change
ago,
now.
they used to have Virginia Beach, and that was like 6 weeks before World, where the carvers would bring their pieces down and they would still have time after the judging to see where they could make some improvements over the next 6 weeks. So when they showed up at World, they may have given it a different paint job or made some major changes, maybe fixed flotation or self-writing or something, you know, that was maybe, so it was kind of a preview. So, you know, I'm not sure when they decided, maybe it was with the social media boom that they decided that they didn't want everybody's pictures going around. But then, you know, at any other contest or championships, as a judge, we have to remain neutral because we do know those pieces because they were at World. So
Yeah.
I almost want
That's
to
the-
challenge you can't enter a piece at World that if you showed a picture of it anywhere else before the first time it was shown. You know,
And that's,
I choose not to show. Some people do show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's, but it, you know, for the first time, and I posted it to Facebook on the decoy carving forum. Did you see what I just read in the World Championships? It was the first time I'd seen that. They didn't want you to put the photos out previous to the championships. And I posted it and that started a discussion about it. So it's been around for a couple of years, but you know,
We
with
scared 'em.
everything that's changed, I don't know that that's a fair restriction to put
Yeah.
on carvers. I mean,
That's-
I think what's
does
Especially
that
now.
mean
done,
does that mean that the judges at the World can't remain neutral, remain, you know, integral?
I
in
I
their
think, you
judging?
know, I think the
Okay, no.
judges, I personally think the judges can remain neutral, but with the people, if you look at the top prize, if you look at even in those groups, because being that I'm a novice still, but I've been around longer, so I don't feel like a novice.
Right.
When you talk to people that are in the contest that, you know, wherever, not winning, just, you know, just come up and come, you hear this thing that the judges aren't neutral because they know when you look at a bird, you can pretty much know whose bird it is. And I
Yeah.
remember
Her
way
style.
back when at the
Yes.
Midwest thing in Livonia,
Yeah. The
where
North-
you'd come in and you'd see the birds that were entered. And then this is the talk amongst people, and I'm sure you've heard this too. It's like, okay, who won last year? Well, God won last year, so Jet's going to win this year if he brings a bird. And he brings a bird, and bam, Jet wins. Well, Jet won last year, you know, God's going to win the next year. And that's, you hear that. And so they get that feeling that it's a good old boys club, and they've got no chance to get in.
Right.
And you
But-
get that, and there's no way to break it.
Well, there is a way to break it. You just don't have the same judges every year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, you also instruct the judges accordingly so that, you know, it doesn't make any difference if you know whose bird this is. You're looking at how good this bird is compared to the one next to it and the one next
Right.
to it.
Oh, yeah.
But
So,
subjectivity has to enter into it a little
Yep.
bit, and you can't
Yep.
help
Yeah.
it. That's human nature.
Yep. That's
So-
human nature.
You know, I'm sure there are going to be those who are, and there are, who are holding out. I mean, for me, this is the third year I've held out because I missed the year before that. And
Yeah.
so it's even more difficult to have to wait until 2022. And I'm willing to do that because, you know, I'd like to believe our world is going to go back to the way it was. But if it doesn't in 2022, I'm not going to hold out anymore. I mean, I could die before these things ever are shown.
We all
if we don't
could,
get to
yeah.
The
do it.
bright side. Look at the bright side of it, Laura. You're not painting in your hotel room.
That's true. And I can, yeah, I used to do that a lot.
I
Actually,
don't know how
the-
many people did. Yeah.
Except for
When
the
you
new
get
one that
better-
she's going to be doing.
when you
Yeah,
get,
right.
yeah,
She'll be painting that one. These other ones are done already. She's going to be painting on the new one.
well, when you get better, you don't do that anymore because you have a better grasp on time and what you're doing. know
Oh, I
when
don't
to-
know.
know when to stop. is
I've
a big part.
at the Worlds, I've known some of the
Sorry.
top carvers painting it in a room the night before.
Yeah, yeah. But you got to know that you aren't painting, your piece is not at its best if you were doing that in the hotel room before.
Yeah.
It hasn't had
Yep.
enough time to dry, especially if it's oils and if it's Joe Sonia, there's some curing that needs to happen. Even with traditions, it can soften in the water if you have to float it. So,
Crappy lighting.
right, that's right. So,
Nope.
and crappy lighting. You know, so if I was always doing like my final whites, highlights, and shadows and things, you know, splits and stuff, so it didn't take as great of lighting as you would need to block in color, but still. Yeah, I think we did well yesterday. I think we're gonna have more entries, especially with these new signups, and it's just gonna take a few people to start getting those entries in. Did anybody
Still
else,
just the two.
pardon me?
Still just the two. Oh, 5.
But,
No, I'm just raising my hand.
no.
Oh,
I don't know if you saw that or not, Laurie, but I sent you a message yesterday sometime. And it was probably just a whirlwind, but Ted Smith had messaged our group
Yes, I did.
privately about having a hard time
It was too
registering. So he
complicated.
wasn't going to compete. What's so hard
Well,
about it?
he didn't have trouble registering. He had
Not
trouble
registering, I meant entering.
understanding what it was going to take to compete.
Right.
I don't believe he tried to enter. I think
Can't
that he looked at
Ted's a smart guy.
instructions and decided it was too complicated. And I guess there are going to be those who decide that. I don't think it's any more complicated than the greaves. The greed pair that he carved for World and 20 years.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's just,
He's a smart guy.
so this is, you
In a
know,
way.
sorry, Ted, but we'll miss your entries is kind of how we have to approach it. You know, we hope that maybe someday you will try, because it's worth it. It's worth doing this. It's worth documenting your pieces, even if you don't compete. But by
It is, I understand where he's coming from. I always get at work, new software I've got to learn to do this or do that, or there's a new shop drawing program that I've got to learn because that's what the client wants. And I resist. And, you know, I can see, but eventually I come around and start using it. You know, come on, Payne, you need to get on board. Well, maybe there's going to be a percentage
there are
of carvers that are going to be say, well, you know, this is really tough. I'm not going to. But then after a while, you know, geez, maybe I can try it. You know, I can come on board. So there's going to be those that just drag their feet, you know.
right. Well, and are they willing to ask for help? I mean, it's not
That's
for
it too.
lack of support, lack of help. We're here. The support documents are there. The support videos are there. I just uploaded 2 more this morning, and
It is.
I
And
think
you worked,
those are
and you
excellent.
all have worked really hard to get that organized to the point where if the time and the effort is taken to review everything that's there, you should be able to enter.
And it doesn't
Yeah.
take right.
It just takes a little bit of just
Work.
study, yep, a little bit of effort.
Yeah.
It's like
Right.
studying
And
your
like I
reference
say-
material. You got to read the rules. You've got to read the requirements, meet the
And we'll-
requirements, and then enter. And it's all there in black and white. It's in there in video, in color, full living color and video.
Mhm.
So
And you know,
I'd like to
you look at
acknowledge
all the other
David and
shows.
Tony. I
yeah,
don't know if
let's
we have.
acknowledge David and Tony. Which David is this? Is this David Harris? You're muted, both of you. David
Uh-oh.
and Tony.
Better unmute him. I think you can do
I
that.
don't think I did that. Let me see.
No,
Tony's unmuted.
there's Tony.
Okay.
Hey, Tony.
How are you guys?
We're doing well.
Welcome.
Thanks for joining
I
us.
couldn't find I couldn't find the link while I was on my phone, so I had to pull out the laptop.
Oh, okay. All right.
Hey, yeah, David,
glad
he's
to
You don't
hear
have
it.
to hold the phone.
Yeah. Okay, and ask to unmute. Okay, I'm asking him to unmute, so.
Okay.
So how you been, Tony? You signed up early on, didn't you?
Yeah, and then winter hit.
Yeah.
We've had 2 ice storms back to back, and so between that and my day job, I've been rather busy.
Where do you live?
I live in Eastern Virginia,
Okay.
so or Southeast Virginia is probably more accurate. Yeah, so right now I'm trying to figure out what's the best way for me to video some ducks in the water, because I mean I could probably pull out a clear tote, but that might be rather small for the birds. My other option is to find a day when it's sunny and there are no white caps, and I can go throw them in the river.
Right.
But
sounds
so that right now
dangerous.
that's my biggest challenge, is trying to figure out the best way to portray them in the video.
That
Yeah,
was
I
one thing
probably
that-
don't need to stick them out in white caps.
That was one thing that Leo asked, was, and Pam, they were very challenged by the 20-foot distant requirement. When you're stuck inside, whether it's winter or COVID restrictions or whatever, we suggested a large enough vessel, and even put it in a hallway where you could have a longer distance. The judges are going to be asked to be lenient on the 20-foot distance, because we know that that's an issue.
That would be a hard, fast
Of
rule.
course, the self-writing portion, if that's part of your requirement, is something you can do close up. So you don't have to prove at 20 feet that it can self-write. They just want to see, how does it project at 20 feet, which is why the judges back off.
Species identification.
Right. Confirmation of species. So, but yeah, some people are using their hot tubs. Some people are using their bathtubs. They can like back out into a master bedroom where, we don't have that. So, but like I said, the judges are going to be asked to be lenient on that. And Lori, Jeff, and I will be moderating. We may be doing it singly, or we may be doing it all together, depending upon how many judging sessions we have to have going at once, to get things covered. But they're also going to, be able to coach the judges and letting them know they can, cut some corners on some of these things just because of these restrictions. And this is the first time we're doing it. We don't know the challenges that we haven't thought of that people are going to run into. I've been reviewing some
And
of
if we cut slack for one, we're going to do it for everybody. It's not going to be,
right.
Just because of this guy's having trouble. I mean, everybody's going to be able to have a little bit of leeway, and I want this to be fun. And promote the sport or the art form.
Yep.
I'm sorry, Leo.
Oh, it's okay. I was just thinking, when, the 20-foot thing, because like I was saying, when I had the problems, instead of showing at 20 feet, I mean, this is just a suggestion, not for this time, but
right.
If you did the close-up where, you show the bird, self-writing,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if the judges are going to see that particular bird full screen on whatever they're looking at the whole time?
It'll be screen shared.
Okay,
Full
because
screen.
if it's like this, where you
No.
see more than one bird.
No, it's not going to be that way. It's going to be full screen one at a time. That's the
Okay.
only
No,
thing.
yeah, that's what I thought. The only reason I was saying, if you've seen it in smaller form, like, you know, like this gallery form, every bird's going to be smaller. So it'd be like you're 20 feet away, and you'd still get to see how they sit on the water without seeing any details of the bird.
That's truly a thought, Leo. And
Yeah.
part of we could maybe, it's kind of like we're imitating that. We're making it feel like it's really 20 feet when it isn't, because of the size of the
That's
bird.
an interesting
You're-
thought.
You're not seeing any details. You're just seeing the bird, small bird floating on a tub, you know?
right. Or
And
water.
you might have to do it in sections, because if you can only get so many squares on a screen, like I can only get 9 or 12 squares or whatever it is on a screen. You might have to do, if you got that many birds, okay, you got this section, you vote the best 3 birds from that section, and then go and then put all those together.
Yep, I think that's great. Well, and fortunately for like the decorative decoys and decorative decoy pair, they don't have that 20-foot distant requirement. That's just, you know, up close, and you just slowly spin the thing around, we can see what's going on with it. Everybody has done really, even the entries we've received has done really great video. So that's encouraging. And if they weren't, they didn't identify the carver, you know, unless you recognize a hand. You know, and we'll be turning the volume down on all of the videos so that even background noises couldn't identify.
Tell them not to wear their world rings either.
Right. Exactly.
Like Keith with a full finger full.
Yeah. Or Gary Eigenberger.
Yeah.
A lot of them too. Pat God and all of them. So
Yeah.
so I think that, and again, there are still going to be those judges, even though those names are masked, who are going to recognize the birds.
Oh yeah.
It comes back down to integrity. So I kept coming around after we had that meeting yesterday, thinking, you know, that's kind of restrictive to the other shows, especially when they're not having their show, for the carvers to have to wait, and now they can't qualify for world level.
Yeah, and a lot of
that
the
was
clubs are
their
waiting
effort.
at the very last minute.
We scared them.
I don't know about that.
No.
I don't know about that, but you know, they are trying to hold off to the very last minute, and then they're canceling one after another.
They are, because they, you know, and I can see why, but Sacramento waiting as long as they're waiting, it's going to really put the kibosh on those who wanted to travel from afar, because canceling
make up their
all of
mind.
those travel plans can be costly. You lose deposits. You forget to get deposits. I had one room for a world I missed, and we got nicked for $53 because we didn't show up, even though COVID was in full force and there was no way we were going to make it. We were actually sick at the time. So, but it would have been
You
our
weren't thinking right.
the world. And I thought we stop on the way, we drive on the way. So we have reservations 2 nights on the way there and 2 nights on the way home. And one of them I missed. So anyway, does anybody else have any questions that might have come up since last week? Right now we have the time zone thing was fixed. We can't test it yet because we're going to test it on the test server. which isn't set up yet, and that's down the road a little bit here. We're waiting for our updates to be completed. We had a little preview and a few things needed to be fixed up, changed a little bit, but everything's looking really good. Nothing that's going to keep us from doing what we're doing right now and taking entries. And then judging after, entries close on the 14th of March at 11:59 p.m. David, I don't know if I think this is David Harris. Is that you, David Harris?
Can you hear me now?
I
Yeah.
can hear you.
No, this is David Foote in Alabama.
Okay. Hi, David. Welcome.
Hi, David.
How are y'all today?
We're doing well, and yourself?
I'm doing pretty good. I think most of y'all know I have some medical issues going on at the moment, and I had cancer 5 years ago and throat cancer. And to make a long story short, I'm feeling the after effects of a lot of radiation to the head. And so I've had to have some jaw surgeries and mouth surgeries and throat surgeries, but I'm doing fine. I got a surgery coming up.
Isn't
Well,
that the one for you so that you can get your teeth?
Yes, well, yeah, they're trying to do that because I have so much bone deterioration from the radiation that they could fit me with teeth, but the teeth would be unusable because there's no way that they could keep the teeth, anchored, if you would, lack of better terminology.
Yeah.
So they're going to try to do one more surgery to grind my upper and lower jaw bones down to where they could fit me with dentures that I could actually use.
Well, we'll have to be praying for that.
Yeah.
But other than that, I'm doing good. I'm still on a feeding tube, and it's not related to my teeth. My feeding tube, the reason they had to put me on a feeding tube was because of the radiation. The flouts in my throat do not work correctly anymore. So when I eat, I aspirate.
Oh.
And so I was put on a feeding tube and told I would never eat again. And but good Lord's got me through this far. I think one day down the road, he's going to work it out to where I can eat again. I just have that. I'm a man of faith, so I believe that's going to happen.
Bless your heart.
But I do. I won't keep y'all very long, and I probably need to actually talk to someone on the telephone. I've actually been carving for 40 years, but I have never, ever competed, ever.
Really?
Everything that I've ever done, it's always been through the art realm. Here in Central Alabama, I do not even live remotely close to any duck hunting avenues, flyways, no old time decoy carvers. I didn't grow up in that aspect. I grew up in a wildlife aspect, who was a outdoorsman who fell in love with waterfowl and birds, and 40 years ago started carving. So my first question would be, I don't even know what category to enter.
Well,
Either one of us could help.
We can help by taking a look at what you got.
Right.
But an even more important question is, where do you feel you're at after 40 years?
Well, I mean, am I an amateur? No, by no means. But I look at everybody else's work, and I don't believe that I'm in the class of the of the masters by no means. But I mean, I think that I would probably be. What's the class? The next class? What's the middle class? What do you actually call that?
That would be intermediate.
Intermediate.
Okay, intermediate, and maybe after y'all see, if I send some of my pictures in or whatever, y'all see, because I just want to compete because of social media in the past few years. I've just built some relationship with some of y'all. Got to love everybody in the world carving arena. And, I'm
David,
almost,
most carvers are their own worst critics. I'm sure you're a lot better than intermediate.
Yeah.
And bless your heart. But I think we can help you find a division to
right,
compete in.
right.
Several.
And, everything I do is decorative. And,
Okay, that's wonderful.
yeah, everything I do goes on somebody's mantle. I'm very blessed that, this year being the year of COVID, this is probably the best year I've ever had. Right now, if you called in order to and I say this very humbly, but if you called in order to piece tomorrow, I have probably over a 2-year waiting list.
Wow.
Bless
that's
your heart.
wonderful.
Good for you.
Yeah.
And I,
That's
and
a
I
good
carve-
problem to have.
Yeah.
Yes, there is.
Sure.
I carve 40, 50 hours a week, every week.
Okay.
And so, I have a lot to do, and that's the reason that I have never really thought about competing. Is just simply because I have not had the time to spend the months that I know that I need to spend on a piece to compete, because I had 2 years worth of work, And
They're all winners.
so anyway, long story short on that is I've just gotten to the age to where I think I just want to compete, just to kind of compare myself to the other people that are out there, because I don't think we ever reach a pinnacle where we can say we've arrived.
That's right.
Absolutely.
You never.
strive
Go ahead.
I know. I said I strive. I strive to be better every day. Or, you don't spend 40 hours, 50 hours a week doing something like that and not want to get better.
Well, that's true, and I think that. What are you carving, like wildfowl sculpture? Are you doing decorative floating decoys?
Yeah, I do decorative decoys, songbirds, game birds,
Yep.
quail, dove, I've carved probably every North American waterfowl in 40 years. All your backyard birds, I do that.
So do you have the ability to photograph them?
Yeah.
Good.
Get them in here.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's wonderful, because
Yeah.
we aren't limiting the time what you frame. A lot of shows say, well, you have to carve it since last year to be able to
Right.
enter it this year, and we don't do that. Number one, because this is our first event, and we would expect that next year you wouldn't enter something that you entered this year.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
but
and every carver thinks, and it's true, their last piece is their best.
Right.
I mean, that's just how it goes.
that's right.
I mean, I would probably, I would think in my first year, I just right off the top of my head, I probably would have, maybe 4 pieces that I would like to enter, that I can think of right off the top of my head.
Excellent.
That's wonderful.
Fantastic.
It was interesting. Tom Huntington said something towards the end of a podcast here yesterday, or the Facebook cast, that, we've always looked for the younger carvers to try and get them to compete. Well, and he mentioned something that really is making a lot of sense. A lot of the carvers that have been doing it for many, many years, that's the group that is gravitating towards the competition now, because they have the ability, and they've got, like you said, to a pinnacle or to a point where they want to compete.
Well, and then what happens is they come out of the woodwork all of a sudden, and we all going, where did they come from?
I'm sure there's just some fantastic pieces out there.
Well, I'll have to say this, and I say this very humbly too, is there's several, and I will not mention no names, but I have several of the, some of the guys and gals that are very good at what they do, and we have become very good friends, through social media, and they have seen my work, and jokingly, and I know they say this jokingly because they do want me to compete, because they said it, and I'll say something. Well, they'll say, well, you need to come to you need to come to the world. You need to come to the world. And I'll say, well, I'm really thinking about it. And then they'll come back and they'll say, no, stay in Alabama. Do not come up here. Yeah, do not come up here. And,
Well,
Go ahead,
that's a big
Pam.
compliment.
so,
It's an interesting point, actually, David. Here in the UK, we couldn't have our show last year, and we did a virtual show. And carvers that have never competed before, either they can't get to the show or they didn't want to travel to the show, competed, and we had some very interesting carvings, very good carvings coming from people that, yeah, they were a name on the mail out labels I do when I send the magazine out 3 times a year, but didn't know them, hadn't met them, and suddenly they're competing carvings and thinking, wow, it was really interesting. In fact, I don't know if you get Competition magazine, but our show is in Competition magazine, and I think the intermediate winner, or was he the novice? I can't remember. Oh, both the intermediate winner and the novice winner have never competed. They were just names on labels, and suddenly they pop up with some quite interesting carvings. Laurie's having a quick look, aren't you?
I am.
About page 84.
Here, I was going to just hold it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, will you turn to the next page? Go to the next page.
Careful,
Those
careful.
3 compete.
Yeah, here we go. This is good.
Throwing it around. Yeah, I mean, that owl, he has never competed.
On the gauntlet.
The red-tailed hawk, he lives in New Zealand. He
Wow.
can't compete at the show.
So he was
Northern
able to
Ireland.
mail it in.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
he was able
Well,
yeah, that's
but yeah, emailed it in, so that's great.
yeah. Well, I guess my next question would be is just like I said, I do want to compete, and I guess I just go on the website and just follow it out and do what the website says to do as far as registering.
Yep.
And I mean, there is photograph
requirements.
requirements as far as pixels and all that.
All of that is under requirements
Uh-huh.
at the website under the main menu.
Okay.
There's the rules, which are basically IWCA rules, except for in divisions that aren't IWCA,
Right.
and they're going to be very similar to all the other shows, so that we could be all inclusive.
Right.
So like
Thank you.
rig and contemporary antiques and things like, and interpretive
Right.
sculpture. So so you'll just you'll register at the website. Once you're registered, it'll ask you to log in again with your username and your password, and you'll find yourself at your profile page. And you don't have to register, though, to go ahead and look at the requirements and the rules and all of that.
Right.
You do have to register to enter. So you can go and look at the entry pages, and
Right.
it'll say enter here, but if you try to enter, it'll say you have to register if you haven't registered and you're not logged in, or
Okay.
you are registered and not logged in. So once
Okay.
you log in, unless you log yourself out, you can go back and forth from the website and not have to log in every single time. Go ahead, Lori.
Okay.
I just thought of something from talking about from yesterday's podcast where there's like 200 people, but there's no way you can show them all. Are we going to allow people in to watch the judging?
No.
Okay.
I don't think that's fair to the judges,
Okay.
because we don't know what's going to happen.
Well, we can mute them.
We can mute them. What we would do, what I was thinking we would do is, if the judges felt comfortable, I mean, you know, if we had microphones on when we were judging, you can really be put on the spot. And there's a lot of etiquette in judging that is overlooked. And if they did have microphones on, people's feelings would be hurt, and they may never ever come back again.
There's some honest critiquing going on there.
Right, and there is, well,
Hi,
but
Joe.
there is judges etiquette, there's carvers etiquette, and that's all on the website. Hi, Joe. Glad to see you. So that's all on the website too. But yeah,
That makes sense. That
if-
makes sense.
later on, maybe, you know, in the archives, we would add the judging for each of the divisions if it was appropriate to do. It's not
We
that
could add the glowing remarks.
yeah, we want to be transparent, but we don't want to put judges in a position where they don't ever want to judge for us again.
Good question, though.
Yeah, I never
Was
thought
it?
about that.
Very good question.
Hi, folks. I got the volume now.
Yay. We're
Welcome.
good today. So, did you see the webinar yesterday?
Yes, I was on it.
Okay, good. We didn't
Pretty
get to see
interesting.
who, as panelists, we couldn't see who was on unless they mentioned something in the chat.
Right. I saw you, Pam. It
Yeah,
was good. It was good.
Good
You
job.
explained it pretty well.
yeah.
I said a few times. I actually watched it this morning,
Oh, really?
because when you're talking, you're sort of concentrating on trying to say what you want to say.
Right.
And I bravely had a look at the recording this morning, and I thought, I said a few times, but otherwise.
I said a lot of times.
And the sync was slightly out on my mouth.
Okay. So when
don't
did
know.
your recording pick up, Pam? Was it just before your segment? Or did you have the complete recording of
No,
the
Yeah, Tom has put the complete recording of the webinar
Okay.
up.
Well,
So I actually just moved the slider along until it came sort of to me.
all I did through Zoom, because I was using Zoom off of my computer, not online.
Yeah.
From just before my segment, and yours was in there too, because we were close to each other. I didn't get the whole thing, just the tail end and my part, our part, and then the discussion. But I thought it went
Well,
okay.
the
I
whole thing,
said too much.
the whole thing is there on Wildfowl Carving Magazine's Facebook page.
Okay, I'll have to go take a look at it. Well, that's good. I'm glad. So, I don't know that there's much else to talk about this week, except for we're gonna be having to promote getting new carvers to enter. It was interesting in the meeting. I'm gonna start taking a look at promoting towards birding people who watch birds and birders, because they're absolutely right. You know, those are the people who have the time, who have the money, who have the inclination and love of birds to, maybe they don't want to carve them, but maybe they're the next collectors that are going to want to purchase at the auctions and from our members after the championships.
Yeah, see, that would be a category. Even though I do carve a lot of waterfowl, I probably carve 10 songbirds to every waterfowl. You know, just simply because of the area of the the southeast that I live in, because I don't live in a very well-known waterfowl hunting area. And in 90, I would say, this sounds like a big number, but I would say 90% of my sales are to women,
Right.
that literally buy, backyard birds. So, and a majority of my waterfowl sales are to men. So I very much understand what you're saying there as far as kind of, maybe going out on that limb a little bit to encourage more, bird carvers also.
Bird carvers and bird collectors.
Right.
We're going to make the platform available, the auction platform available, which is basically like an eBay, set up just like eBay, where you can have a buy it now, or you can set a reserve, or just sell it outright, or whatever.
Right.
But we're gonna get that going for the carvers as well, and that would be for entries that they've made. Not, we wouldn't have you just. We want you to enter your artwork, and that's part of the incentive of entering our show is being able to sell your artwork through our website and our auction platform.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me ask one more question. If you don't mind, let me ask one more question, and I'll
No, that's why we're here.
Is like somebody like me, we were asking a question a while ago about, what category, because I've never competed. Does the WCC and the judges reserve the right to move an artist up or down in a category once they see their work if they don't think they're in the right category?
We're going to take carvers at their word. I believe they know where they're supposed to be. And we will probably end up following up with the carvers. What happens in that is the carvers who are in a level that they're really not supposed to be in, it's lower than the quality of their work, they win everything. And then they're forced to go into the next level. And it happened very quickly for me with the exact same piece. In 3 months, I went from novice to open level with my pair of loons on the carved water wave base. And every time I won a best in show back then, this is before we had the rules back in 85 and 86, they would just push you up. If you won best in show and novice, then you had to compete in intermediate, and then you had to compete in open. And so in 3 months, 3 shows time, I was, playing hardball in the open division.
Right. Okay.
So
okay.
It does. And then when I complained to Bob Sutton, he said, that's because you never belonged in the novice and the intermediate levels, Lori. So, and he was right. Some people just are lucky to get to it really fast. And sometimes it's actually not luck, it's skill, but it's also can be very daunting to the carver, because now they do have all of these other carvers who have been established for so long as open carvers, and they have to compete against them. And sometimes I think a lot of people give up. Not me though.
Yeah. Well, no, that would make me want to work even harder.
Exactly. And that's I believe we're all going to one day reach a plateau, but I'm not even anywhere close to mine.
No.
So, until that happens, you're going to just keep seeing me trying to make each, I set my bar higher for every piece I do, because I only have so many pieces left in me. I mean, face it, how many do we have left?
Yeah, absolutely.
So.
All right. Well, I thank y'all very much for the help.
Thank you so much for coming in, and we'll look for your entries. If you have any questions, feel free to let us know, and we'll get your answers fast as we can.
I sure will. And I thank every one of you very, very much, and look forward to hearing from you in the near distant future.
And David, we'll be praying for you and your complete recovery.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you. I will when I find out when my next surgery is, I'll make a post, and I think I'm pretty much friends with all of y'all.
Yeah, I've been following you for quite some time now.
I will make a post, and that's coming up probably in the next week or so. So y'all take care, and I will talk with y'all later. All right, thank you.
Bye-bye.
Good luck and God bless.
Yep.
Yep.
Bye-bye.
Well, those were good questions. Excellent.
Yes,
Yeah.
excellent.
Okay, I guess I've got my question I can ask now.
We never got to that yet. Okay, I wasn't sure.
I was looking over the rules and the entries, and I know I mentioned that I've got a carving that's never been in a contest
Okay.
that somebody else has that I could take, and I'm looking and I can't find an area to put it in.
Okay, well, why don't you tell us what it is, because we're not judging.
It's a pigeon.
Oh, that would be,
Bird?
I believe it goes in upland game.
Does it?
And the reason I'm asking is because it's as a decoy, because they used to hunt pigeons.
Mm.
So it's just it's one of those ones where it's a bird on a stick. It's not, it doesn't have legs or that type of decoy.
Oh, is it a working decoy?
I guess so. It's a smoothie, and I would consider it a decorative because just the way it's painted.
Okay.
Kind of like the shorebird sections, maybe.
Yeah, shorebird, but there is
But
no.
it's not a shorebird.
Yeah.
It's not a shorebird.
No.
That's what.
But I meant the style.
Yep, I'm looking
Yeah.
for the
That's a
taxonomy
great
here.
question.
And when I was reading, the rules under the shorebird, the way it was talking, it wasn't talking about just a stick. It was talking about with the legs and all that stuff.
Upland game, I was right. That's what pigeons are. Doves, grouse, pheasants, pigeons,
Right.
quail, turkeys, and woodcock. So there's your answer.
But so
That's
I
an
would.
IWCA.
Okay, yeah, but looking at the divisions under apprentice, there is nothing, there's just
So,
working
okay,
smoothie.
so it would be, let me
We have
put
to make a
one-
new.
Well,
You see what I'm saying?
No, we're not adding any new divisions.
No, if I can't enter it, that's fine. I have no
But
problem.
there is a
not
place. I
entering it.
know there is a place for you. So what I would put it in, you're at the intermediate level, right? You decided?
Yep. Yeah, I'd
So-
say intermediate.
So, and you said it doesn't have a base or anything?
Well, it's got a base, but it's just a bird to stick. It doesn't have, when you read the shorebird, because that's the closest thing I
Okay.
can think of, it's just a stick.
All
There's
right.
no legs.
No,
So it's
that
just
would
basically
make
your
sense.
bird. It's not a silhouette, but
So I would call it a smoothie decoy.
okay.
Well, wait, no, because then that's going to ask for a video.
Yeah, that acts to float. That's the kind of, and like I said, if I don't enter it, no problem. Because I didn't think I was going to enter anything, because I don't think I'm going to get the piece that I wanted done in
But
time.
I think that you could enter it into, is it life size?
Yep.
Decorative life size wildfowl covers all of it.
That require habitat.
No, it requires a base. Let me look here.
Well, it's got a base. It's just a piece of driftwood or whatever it is it's stuck on. So
Yeah, in the hold on, I'm getting
Leo
there.
would do that.
Yeah,
well, I was just
says-
trying to
Oh.
enter something. Like I said, I
That's-
don't have to enter anything.
okay. It says entry must include one or more subjects, must be life size, detailed to the highest ability. Must be
I
made.
mean,
but
I
you
look
know
at
what?
that as being
Okay,
fully
but-
burned and all that stuff.
Well,
This is smooth.
Okay, but what I want to point out to you is that Pat Godden was entering his smoothies and
Oh yeah.
smoothies into the decorative divisions of the Masters level at World and winning with
Yep.
no burning, nothing. His painting was carrying him. So there is that. So it's not that it can't be smooth. It says it'll include a
about confidence?
habitat base. Did you hand form the base?
No, it's just like I said. It's just on a. I think I can't remember. I'll be honest. I can't remember if it's a round disc or if it's
Okay.
just or if it's just a piece of driftwood or like log cut in half and stuck on the stick
Well,
in it.
What about confidence? We didn't really
But
think
see,
about that.
there is no
Confidence decoy.
confidence. We don't,
No.
that would be categories. So, we didn't break our divisions down into categories, and then we didn't
That's okay.
break them down into species because we weren't even sure how many entries we'd get. So you
You know
are
what?
right, Leo, that's a bit of a conundrum. It's kind of like a shorebird. Well, now,
But even I was gonna say, even the
what about
rules.
contemporary antique division? There's pristine, and that's where it belongs.
I
Is-
guess it's not antique though. It's, you know,
Well,
it's not
then
like
that would
worn
be-
off or. I
Right, but
can-
that
you
would,
know,
that would make it a pristine.
Okay, yeah.
So you'd be in the apprentice, you know, I had a woodpecker that went into the pristine at World. I didn't know where to stick it either. And I thought, well, I guess I'll just stick it into this division of pristine, and then I won it. And
It
I
was a
was like,
flicker.
oh, okay, I guess that worked. So, you know, I think that's where I would tell you to enter it. That the pristine at the apprentice level.
Recommendation. You're gonna have to choose.
Yeah, that's just the, you know, that was the question I have, because it doesn't,
Good one.
I don't consider it antique. Yeah, is it pristine? Yes, but it's not. it
Well,
doesn't
that's
have-
just the kind of the title of the division. The
Yeah.
pristine means it's not going to look like it's worn out, or it's going to look it's not going to look antique either
Nobody
Right,
thought
okay.
it.
necessarily. So,
Okay.
and that's where
Well,
I
that-
thought I
that-
was going to fail in that division at World, because it didn't look like it was an antique, and that was what it was named, contemporary antique. And then I won, and I'm like, okay, well, I guess it can look like it's got a perfect paint job, as if it's pristine.
That's fine. That gives me that's where I can put it. You know, it didn't matter to me if I entered it or not. It's just
Well, it
something I
does to
had.
us, though. We want you to.
Yeah, well, I understand. It's something I had. It'd be fun to do. You know, I don't expect it to win anything or any of that. So I just wanted to enter something because I don't have what I would enter. There's no way I'm getting it done before the 14th of March.
Okay, all right. Okay. All right, well, that's that.
That's it. That's where I'll put it.
Joe, did you have any questions?
Someone's laughing, and it isn't me.
It's my wife.
Funny.
Does she have any questions?
Well, actually, I did. It's concerning the floating. I read I had all my floating done, but I noticed that I took the video too close. It says you have to be 20 feet away.
So, okay, is it for your work? Is it working decoys or decorative decoys?
For the working decoys.
Oh, yeah. Well, you have to prove it up close. You know, self-writing is an up
Yeah,
close
that's it.
thing.
To do it up close, you have to self-write it up close. And then
Right.
maybe walk back and get to
Yeah,
your 20 feet.
and so that's how we're telling everyone to do it. You know, some people are using their hot tub, some people are using a pool, some people are going to a hotel,
There's some
local hotel.
leniency.
Yeah, we're
The
gonna have
judges are
some
gonna be lenient.
leniency in that distance, because people are challenged, and we talked about this a little bit earlier today about we're gonna be instructing the judges to be lenient. I mean, if it comes in and it's 15 feet, we don't have a tape measure to say
No.
15
Yeah.
feet, you know.
Plus the size of the picture itself. I mean,
And-
you know, the
And
reduced.
Leo had
Leo.
also suggested making the videos smaller to make the birds look further away, which I think is brilliant.
Another thing is the further back I get, the more background I pick up, you know,
Yes.
in my place. So, you know, you can like see other stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, I get that.
Challenging.
It is.
That's why I
challenging.
suggested the smaller picture, you know, the smaller video, like a screen of multiple videos with just a smaller bird,
Right.
because then you don't get that background.
Well, is it because you don't want us to see the background, or is it because you think it's going to be distracting from your piece?
No, not really. Maybe some people would notice the background. I don't know.
Okay,
We're
well,
judging.
and again, we're gonna instruct the judges, you know, that there is gonna be background that they're gonna have to ignore. We're gonna pretend it's on a lake or on a river.
I would
There's
do it on my
trees in the
lake.
background.
I would do it on my lake, but it's totally frozen.
Yeah, yeah. Now, Joe, you're sitting in that,
Right.
Joe, you're sitting in that house you built, aren't you?
Right. I just got here. That's why I picked up. I got in
Beautiful.
late.
It's a
I just
beautiful
got here.
house. I enjoyed watching that entire process.
All right.
Here.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah,
beautiful
I
home.
took a bit of carving away from me when I built this. I stopped
Yeah.
carving for a while.
You have to do that.
Understandable.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Any other
Oh.
questions?
Yeah. Anybody? Tony, do you have any questions?
Muted.
Yeah. But he could hear us.
Mhm.
Mhm. Well,
I
we
see it's getting pretty dark there, Pam.
really thought that yeah.
It is dark outside, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Did you have water outside your window? Do you have a lake out there?
Who, me?
That's a,
No,
that's a
Pam.
wall.
No, what behind me? No.
Yep.
Actually, across the way,
Is water.
because we've had so much rain, it's a water meadow. And
Okay.
when it rains an awful lot, suddenly there's a river running underneath it, but it's underground, but it pops up.
Oh.
So I can see the river, and there's some pools. So I mean, if I wanted to go through all the mud and muck, I could probably float about on the pools. But
You got
I thought
wellies,
the,
don't you?
yeah, but I've got short little legs, you know about being short, and too muddy, you just sort of vanish.
Right.
I thought the idea of putting a bowl at the end of the hall and getting the distance that way. And you remember when I was doing the testing, I measured everywhere to see if I could get anything near 20 foot. And I think about the most I could get was about 5 foot. But I mean, I was only doing a test with that one. So
That's
it's
something
just
that's going to
I
have to have a
haven't
lot of leeway.
Yeah.
yeah.
And again, we're gonna make sure that there is leeway, especially this first time around. I think we're gonna probably see some interesting backgrounds of photographs, you know, backdrops, not just in the videos, but in the photographs.
A
And
lot of toilets.
hopefully not. Laundry rooms.
If you're really good with Photoshop, you could probably make your bird look
That's
like it's on a
right.
lake.
Yeah.
That's true. That's true. So, okay. Well, I don't know
Lori-
that there's anything more to talk about today. Because we
I
don't
have
have
one
any
quick
testing to
question.
do. Yeah.
Tony, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm actually blocking in another duck while we're sitting here talking.
Good for
Yay.
you.
But
Sweet.
yesterday some of the conversation came up about, posting images of entries and stuff. After this is over, I mean, is the plan to post at least, say, one image of all the entries on the website, or
Well,
and the reason I bring it up is because, and I had to leave early yesterday, but the reason I bring it up is, a lot of my competition occurs with mail-ins, and so you send a bird halfway across the country, or in some cases across the country, and when it comes back, you either have the bird in the box, you might have a ribbon or two. But it seems like some shows have become, and I know it can be a challenge, but it's a bit frustrating when you get a bird back and, well, geez, I got this ribbon, or geez, it doesn't get anything. So who else entered? How did it compare? Hey, was I first place because there was only one other entry? Or I was the only
Oh,
entry in that
right.
category? Or
And how can
so
you
I was
ever
just wondering
see
if there's
what,
going to be.
and you want to know
Yeah.
what it was that beat you or didn't beat you. And I get that.
Correct.
Mailing in is the hardest thing for me to do. It's so hard. I mean, I can't even think the day of judging, even though, there's 6 hours away before they're even going to start, but I'm not thinking about anything but that. So it is difficult. And then sometimes your birds come back damaged and you don't know the whole story, and finding it out is hard. So yes, we plan on, first, we're going to have one picture of the winning pieces for second and third for each division. However, down the road, we're going to have what's called a,
Gallery.
we're going to make it so that you can see the entire division and all of the entries that were entered in that division. It's a read-only contest, so that there won't be any judging going on, any entering going on, but you'll be able to go and just see what was entered in that division in 2021, who the entrants were, what they competed with, if there's video involved, and they keep their video on YouTube, then you'll be able to view their video. So yeah, we have plans for an archive of all entries down the road. And currently we're going to put pictures, one picture up of every winning piece for every division. Hope that answers your question.
Yes, and that, going forward. So, if I know that, at a certain show, whether it's this one or another show, that, the judges that were there, they were looking for a particular style or what have you, then I know that if I'm going to compete, if I'm going to, go to the effort to send something to this show, then it needs to, for the sake of competition, it needs to bend this way. Whereas, at another show, it needs to bend a different way.
So when you say
I've actually.
When you say sending something, you're not talking about physically sending an entry. You're talking about photos.
Oh no! I'm just talking about mailings in general. But in this way, especially yesterday, there's a lot of discussion about online platforms potentially being the wave of the future. But to me, it's like if there's not going to be an opportunity for at least some sort of feedback, whether it be the entire list of placement of birds, if you had 10 birds in a particular category, it'd be nice to see more than just number 1, 2, 3.
Okay. I see what you're saying. So we will have all that data.
That's a form of feedback.
And there will be the outcome, the results that will be available for downloading and printing. But at the same time, we are going to offer the opportunity for you to get a critique from the judge, at least one of the judges that judged on your piece, so they'd be able to fill in those gaps for you.
Okay.
Say it was, you asked the judge to do your critique, and we got your judge and get it scheduled to be a Zoom meeting. You might even have your piece with you, and they can tell you exactly what's going on with your bird and what happened during the judging that created the outcome that happened. Resulted.
Is there going to be a gallery page though down the road where all photos will be able to be viewed?
All the photos will be able to be viewed. All of the entries and all of the photos for those entries are going to be in what's called a read-only, and it'll be just like our contest now, but it'll be read-only. It's like the results, basically, where you still be able to look at every individual photo, click on the video link, and then see every other entry that's in that division, and you'll see who won first, second, and third, how much the prize money was, so that we have an archive, because that's what we want to do, is build a permanent archive to start documenting
That's it,
wildfowl
archive.
farming.
Does
So
that
the
answer your question, Tony?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, good.
Plus, even if it doesn't win,
It'll still be
there's
there.
the photo there for the auction. If we, when we archive.
Yeah, so if you decided you wanted to sell your entry piece 2 years from now, and you still own it, you still want to sell it, you could make arrangements to sell it on our auction platform, which is like eBay. It can be a buy now or a reserve auction or whatever you like.
Okay.
Okay, well, thank you all for participating.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Yes,
Oh,
and
yeah.
we'll be back again next Saturday, doing the same thing, making sure we can answer your questions. And of course, we're there to answer them in between Saturdays. If you just message us or email us, or even pick up the phone and give us a call. David Foote wanted to talk to somebody on the phone, and he can feel free to give us a call. Our numbers on the website and on the Facebook page and everywhere else.
Right.
So, okay, well, thanks again, everybody, for coming, and we'll keep you posted when those updates come through, and we'll get those final tests going. That'll be fun. Pam wrote a new script to test the time zone, and we've got the other one for testing the video lengths. So she's done a really great job in writing these test scripts for us, so that we can all be on the same page, doing the same things, and seeing if our results compare the same. So thanks, Pam.
Yep.
Yep, you worked hard, really hard. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank everybody for their hard work.
Something to do, hasn't it?
Yeah. Okay, well, we'll see everybody in between, and we'll see you next Saturday if you can make it. And thanks again for coming.
Okay.
Bye now.
See you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.